the same container before the pandemic. What once cost $1,300 is now $18,000. The average journey on the same route has doubled from 35 days to 70 days, largely due to congestion at UK ports. And when ships do dock, there aren't enough drivers to pick up the containers that arrive. So we're going to spend the next half an hour focusing on two different legs of that global supply chain to show you what it's like for importers, exporters and port operators. One of those routes is from a Chinese factory to a UK warehouse. The second is from a Californian port to a factory in the Midwest. But let's start with Gavin Ucko. He's the CEO of the Happy Puzzle Company here in the UK. They supply award-winning puzzles, games and puzzle books. His company is based in Elstree in Hertfordshire, though Gavin tonight is joining us, as you can see, from Israel. Welcome to the programme. So I want to unpick this puzzle, OK? And I want to fire some rapid questions at you. I'd like some short answers because I want to get a full picture of what's going on. So let's use as an example the last order you made, the last container that you ordered. Where does it come from? Where is the factory?
So that container is coming from Ningbo, from an actual factory that is in Ningbo, and that would normally take 25 to 28 days from when it starts crossing until it reaches our warehouse. OK. When you place your order and you speak to the factory in Ningbo, do they have the workforce to fulfil your order? Yes, they do.
Do they have a lorry to get that order to the port side?
Yes, they do.
And did it leave on time?
It did indeed leave on time. It left on the 26th of August, which was exactly when we were expecting it to leave. OK. We have found your container. So Leo, our producer, has been searching for it all afternoon. You gave him a container number. And as you say, it left the port of Ningbo near Shanghai on the 26th of August aboard the MSC Isabella. Now, you say it should take a month in transit to land at your warehouse over here in Wellingborough, which means, by my reckoning, it should have arrived on the 23rd of September. But yeah, that's right. It was due to dock on the 23rd of September, and we would have had it in our warehouse within a couple of days of that.
But it's not docked. In fact, it is here, anchored just outside Felixstowe, and there it is, quite accurately pinpointed on the map, courtesy of vesselfinder.com. So have you had any update on when it will dock?
So the first update we received was to say that it had been delayed from the 23rd of September until the 6th of October, which was yesterday, which was bad enough. The latest information which we received today is that it's due to dock on the 9th. So that is on Saturday.
And who's waiting for the products? I mean, what are the customers saying to you?
Well, first of all, I think everybody who is in any sort of industry which is geared towards Christmas gifts at the moment is aware of the situation. So people are generally quite understanding that there are delays, and that's partially because we're at the 7th of October, we're not at the 7th of December. So there isn't blind panic just yet. But of course, the shops are starting to fill up and people are starting to look for their Christmas gifts. And if you haven't got what they want, they'll buy something else or they'll go somewhere else. So the impact at the moment is slow, but with every day that passes, it's getting significantly worse.
Do you have a truck, very quickly, on the dockside ready for when the ship docks?
Well, judging by what's happened recently, we would like to think so, but that's not guaranteed because the previous containers that came in, we had the haulage company booked, but they never actually turned up. And we rebooked them for the following day. They never turned up again. And the earliest we could rearrange it for after that was after a 2-week delay. And we then had to pay 2 weeks worth of what they call demurrage, which is like a rent for the port actually holding on to our containers, and that was an additional £3,000, and that just adds insult to injury of the inflated prices that we're currently paying for the space on the boats.
All right. So, look, I don't know what the margin is on a puzzle, but I can't imagine it's massive, OK? You've got container freight that costs you 18 times more. You've got the problem at the dockside and the rising costs there, the rising cost of fuel when it gets to the warehouse. Are you going to have to pass that cost on to the Christmas consumer?
So we've done two things specifically to try and undo the damage of this so that we pass on as little as possible. So previously our games came in a box, which was that size. I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah, we can see that.
And we've now changed them into a box which is this size. So it's smaller and it's thinner and it's more cramped and it's not as nice on the inside from a packaging point of view. But the difference that it makes is that instead of being able to get 13,000 copies of the games onto a 40-foot container, we can now get 27,000. So it's more than double the quantity that we can actually get on. And so that more than halves the individual unit shipping cost. But that doesn't go the whole way. It only goes part of the way towards solving the problem. So yes, the recommended retail price of these games has had to rise because we have no choice. And it's the same for everybody in every industry that's affected. Now, we're quite fortunate because we are in a position to be able to put games into slightly smaller boxes. But other industries, for example, people who are importing things like garden furniture, well, you can't shrink garden furniture because people don't want chairs that are too small to sit on in their garden. So a lot of people are really stuck, and it is punishing. And it is going to send some smaller businesses out of business.
Gavin Ucko, that is a really good starter for 10. Thank you very much indeed for that. We wish you the best of luck. I know it is very stressful. I can hear how stressful it is. So let's look then at the same problem from the freight handler's perspective. Richard Ballantyne is the Chief Executive of the British Ports Association. He's in London for us. So how long do you think it's going to take, Richard, before the MSC Isabella is able to dock?
Well, I can't comment on specifics of particular ships. But all I would say, and you'll probably say he would say this, wouldn't he? This is very much a global issue at the moment. And actually, in the UK, it's not as bad as it has been elsewhere. I have to say, North America and in Europe itself, we've seen a lot more delays, actually. And this is as a result of a big surge after the pandemic, where we had various lockdowns and restrictions affecting demand, and then we had a big run on storage, so warehousing and on-site storage facilities, open-air storage facilities, all heavily overused, and now coupled with this sort of awful driver haulage shortage, it really is a perfect storm for the logistics industry to try and deal with.
We're looking at pictures of Felixstowe, and what I can see is row upon row upon row of containers. And a lot of those containers are empty. Is that part of the problem?
Yes, potentially there has been. I mean, I won't comment specifically on the situation at Felixstowe, but part of the problem globally has been getting containers, empty containers, back to source almost in Asia, getting them back empty so that they can be filled up with the products and commodities and toys, as we heard your last guest comment on, and ship them back. But given the huge amount of storage pressure there's been, it has been quite challenging, I understand, for the shipping companies to get those empty containers back to Asia.
So are you actually saying then that there are ships in this day and age when we're all debating climate change, but there are ships who are having to sail back to Asia empty because on the dock side we can't get the containers empty quickly enough?
Yeah, not completely empty, but perhaps not as full as they might normally be. That's an efficiency thing, because if you